COVID-19, really, the timing of it last year was the worst. Especially for yours truly, who, one of my hobbies is going to not just my county convention, but county conventions all around the great state of North Carolina. Now, last year at the Guilford County Republican Convention, this was like the last full Saturday of conventions where everything was normal with society. Because the very next Saturday, trying to find a convention for yours truly to go to was very difficult because so many counties had canceled their convention. And, well, I mean, they still had a convention, but instead of having it in person, they had it via the internet, virtually, and only Republicans in that particular county and elected officials were allowed to attend. No guests from other counties could be on the virtual convention unless they were statewide elected officials. And really, coming into 2021, I did not think that county conventions would be able to resume until 2022. But fortunately, Charity Baptist Church in Greensboro on Battleground Avenue, the scenic part of Battleground Avenue, not the ghetto part of Battleground Avenue, but Charity Baptist Church decided to host the precinct meetings 2 weeks ago, and then the county convention today, March the 6th. And I will tell you that, yes, COVID protocols were followed. Masks, social distancing, all that stuff. Turnout was good, but turnout was still, spaced and all the proper protocols in case you're a liberal watching this and you want to go, run your mouth somewhere. Oh, the Guilford County Republicans, they didn't do a safe event. Yes, we did. Okay, so what we have here is a convention, right? And I'm going to talk to you about it. I didn't really know how I was going to start this, but fortunately, with a lot of my videos, if you watch them, I start off a little slow, but then I, get better. So, the time this convention was longer than the prior two conventions I've attended here in Guilford County. This was one of the longer ones. This clocked in at 2 hours and 29 minutes, which is like a full hour more than last year's. Like last year, it's like everybody was like running the Daytona 500, and another reason too is that the prior 2 years the convention has started at 10 o'clock. This year, decision was made to start the convention at 9 o'clock, or I should say 9:04 was the official call to order. Now, the very first thing that we did at this convention was we heard from our excellent newly elected Lieutenant Governor Mark Robinson. And Chairman David Gleason started off by saying that Mark Robinson, this is Guilford County's gift to the state of North Carolina, because Mark Robinson's born and raised and still lives in Guilford County. And Mark Robinson started off by saying, my opinion doesn't matter. It's your opinion that does. And he also talked about how Twitter, they banned Donald Trump from Twitter. But yet, there's a lot of pornography on Twitter. And there's also jihads hiding out in caves and all these terrorist groups and pro-terrorist symbols and pictures that are still on Twitter. And then he asked a pointed rhetorical question. WRAL, are you here? Are you in the house? WRAL, of course, the TV station, NBC affiliate in Raleigh, longtime CBS affiliate, and then they, some reason, decided to change affiliations, whatever. But anyway, WRAL recently asked Mark Robinson, "Why are you extreme?" And Mark Robinson replied back today. He asked, "What's extreme about me, WRAL? I'm married, I have kids, married to a woman, I have kids, grandkids. What's extreme about me, right?" And, the things that Mark Robinson said were extreme. Well, look, you got people arguing over the gender of a plastic potato. Did you ever think in a million years that we'd be debating, Mr. Potato Head, is he really a man or a woman, right? And then you have the whole Dr. Seuss banned books, and then a number one song in the country right now is by Cardi B, and there's a lot of explicit swear words in there. And but another thing I'll say about Mark Robinson is this is how much of a public servant Mark Robinson is. Last night, he spoke at the Dublin County Republican Convention. Dublin County is more than 3 hours southeast of Greensboro. Okay, so he went there. The convention started at 5 o'clock. I don't know what time he left, but then he drove back Friday night, came back to Greensboro, and it was at this convention 9 a.m. sharp to speak. And now him and his wife all today are going all around the state to all these various county conventions. I wish I could do more than one, but like all the county conventions started in the morning. I think the latest one today was 1 p.m. in Gates County. And this convention ended at 11:30, and it takes me like 3 to 4 hours to get to Gates County from Greensboro, so there's no way I was going to be able to make that. In years past, there have been some counties that have later conventions, but unfortunately this year it's really the only conventions that are later, Saturday afternoon, Saturday evening, are on Saturdays that I have to work. Now, the last couple of years, I've taken a lot of Saturdays in March off, but this year I didn't know how many counties would have conventions in actual traditional in-person conventions. So this year I just made sure I was able to take this Saturday, today, off for the Guilford County Convention, and then take one Saturday off in April, late April, for a couple of district conventions. Okay, so Chairman Gleason made a remark that we have 90 precinct chairs are signed up to work this election cycle, which is 2021 till 2023, which is very good because there are 165 precincts in Guilford County. So to have more than half is good. But then again, we still need 75 more precincts to man. But last year in 2020, I believe we only had, I'm going to say 40 to 50. So that's very good. It's a good number to have. Then we had Chairman Gleason read a message from Mark Walker. Now, Mark Walker is a former congressman of the old 6th District. The old 6th District had the east half of Guilford County, and it also had, I think, Rockingham, Randolph, Lee County, a little bit of Alamance, a lot of the conservative counties between Greensboro, Raleigh, and towards Fayetteville. But now what happened is that the 6th District was redistricted, and now it's all of Guilford County and the very rough area, bad area of Winston-Salem, Forsyth County. So Mark decided not to run, but now he's run for the U.S. Senate seat. That is going to be an open seat because Richard Burr is retiring, and that election is in November of 2022. So he's already campaigning all over the place for that. So he couldn't be at the convention today, but he did say that the campaign's going well for Senate, and he's breaking all kinds of fundraising records, and he has picked up a lot of major endorsements. And then David Gleason talked about his what him and his team have done and their accomplishments that they've done during the 2019 to 2021 election cycle, and what we have a new headquarters. The 2020 Lincoln Reagan Day dinner, despite being right in the middle of the COVID mess, was a huge success. And they also started, just last year, an annual golf tournament. Also, they have a much better improved social media presence through Facebook and Nation Builder. And just in the 2020 election cycle, they had over 300 poll observers, which is very good because there's 165 voting precincts in Guilford County. So that's more than one per precinct. That's very good. Then he made a couple of comments. One was toward Dave Craven, who is a state senator, represents most of Randolph County and the southwest corner of Guilford County. But Mr. Gleason said that Dave Craven has the cushiest job in the state because he used to be the county chairman of the Republican Party of Randolph County, and that's like the reddest county in the state because it's over 70% of the voters of Randolph County are Republican. And then we talked about Amy Gailey. Mr. Gleason mentioned that Amy Gailey, newly elected to I think it's the House, I believe. One of the House or Senate. I forget which one, but he mentioned this about Amy Gailey, that ever since, she started running, announced her run at last year's convention, and ever since then she's been at like every single Guilford County event. And there was even a time at the first meeting a couple months ago in January of 2021 where Amy Gailey drove back from Raleigh, drove past her home in Alamance County to attend the Guilford County GOP meeting, which is held on West Friendly Avenue in the central west part of Greensboro. Oh yeah, and then she drove back like 40 minutes back to Alamance County after that. So Amy Gailey, definitely another public servant salute to her. Then Chairman Gleason turned things over to Miss Deanna, who was the MC for the next portion of the convention. Now, this next segment was called In Memorial, which is where this is something that the party has not done in years past, but I'm glad that they have start doing it this year. What it is basically we have Republicans that have passed away in the past year. We mention their name and we discuss them for a few minutes. A little similar to what Dearly Departed does at the state convention level, but the state convention is just a big projector screen of all the names, because there's probably over hundreds of Republicans that have passed away in the last year, so it would take a long time to discuss each person's individual accomplishments. But here in Guilford County we had 3. I'm sure there are probably more Republicans, but these are the activist Republicans that have passed away in the last year. So, let's see. Marcus Kinley, our buddy Marcus Kinley, hosted this segment. The first one was Fred Starr. And Fred Starr passed away this past year, was CEO of Thomasville Furniture Company, and his wife was a travel agent. And these two individuals really helped the party a lot with certain, needs. I mean, obviously, furniture and travel, they're both pretty big components of running a political party operation. Also, there was a time when Fred Starr helped lead a reform in Guilford County. What I mean by that is when Marcus Kinley explained that you go back about 35, 40 years ago, when you fill out a job application to work for the Guilford County government or the Guilford County School Board, you actually had to check a box whether or not you were Republican or Democrat. And most of the time, if you checked the Republican box, you did not get a job. So Fred Starr helped put an end to that. And also Marcus Kinley said Marcus Kinley's about 65 years old. He's been around the party for a long time. And he said that the Guilford County Convention used to be able to hold it in a small kitchen. Now it's like this huge gymnasium, right? Great stuff. And then Troy Lawson, a man who I knew personally, was elected the very first black chairman of the Guilford GOP back in 2017. In the 2018 election cycle, he ran for NC House 27. He also led the 150-year celebration of the founding of the Republican Party back in 2018. He was also a firm advocate of charter schools. Big reason why was because he was against liberal indoctrination, and he was from Boston. Also spent a lot of time in Baltimore, and in both these cities he saw firsthand the liberal spoon feeding of the liberal curriculum for these poor kids. And finally, Paul Daniels, who was an attorney, also a former member of the school board. Marcus Kinley also told an interesting story about Paul Daniels. Going back 12 years ago now to when Barack Obama was first elected president, a school in Jamestown, elementary school in Jamestown, North Carolina, not Jamestown, Virginia. I'm not talking about that, but Jamestown, the suburb of Greensboro, proposed that at that 5th grade graduation in 2009, they proposed that the kids sing a song praising Barack Obama. Well, a concerned mom, called Marcus Kinley up, and Kinley knew Paul Daniels. Paul Daniels and Kinley were all good friends with J.D. Hayworth, the former congressman of Arizona and the man who ran for U.S. Senate about back in 2010, 2012, somewhere. But J.D. Hayworth ran against John McCain, a.k.a. John McPain, for the Republican nomination. Unfortunately, was not successful, and unfortunately that's a big reason why Obamacare is still around, because of John McPain beat J.D. Hayworth. But J.D. Hayworth had a radio show, not at the same, before he ran for Senate, because you can't really run for office and do radio at the same time. Kinley, Kinley, J.D. Hayworth, Paul Daniels, all were friends. They all got on the show one night, and they talked about how this school was proposing that kids would sing a song saluting Obama. Well, all the phone lines like for the show got burned up, and then those same people called the Guilford County Board of Education. All their phone lines went crazy, and guess what ended up happening? The school decided to not sing the Obama song. Okay, next up, we went into elected officials and heard from some remarks from them. First one up was John O'Day, who serves on the Summerfield Town Council. He has a 12-year-old daughter, and he is a strong advocate for education reform because of some things that he's seen in his daughter's public school curriculum. And right now he's trying to look at some better schooling options for his preteen daughter. Then we heard from George McClellan, Oak Ridge Town Council, and he said, you know what, it's time for the governor and the chair of the Guilford County Board of Commissioners, who's a DM rat, name is Skip Alston. But one thing I'll say about Skip Alston is that I like the way he dresses. You know, I need to find out where he buys his clothes. He looks pretty stylish, I must say. But yeah, that was from George. And then we heard from the mayor of Oak Ridge. I did not get her name, but a nice, lovely lady who gave us a pep talk about, do we know who we are as conservatives? And we need to spread this message of low taxes, more individual prosperity, and get that going. Then we heard from Sebastian King was speaking on behalf of Representative John Hardister, who unfortunately could not make the county convention this year because he was on a tour of various colleges and universities of the state university system here in North Carolina. And Hardister wanted to do this to ensure that we have quality education for students, right? And I'll see. Also, King also discussed about how Hardister helped get North Carolina's fiscal house in order, as we now have a AAA bond rating. So when we need to borrow money, it's very cheap to do. Also, we are in, because we have a surplus, and we've had an annual budget surplus here for like the last, I'll say maybe 4 years, 3, 4, 5 years, something like that. But we've been able to fully fund our state police department, state highway patrol, and also we have not laid off a single one employee. No state employees have been laid off. A lot of other states, Illinois, California, New York, all these other states that are, $5, $6, $7 billion in debt, that have shortfalls, they're in deep trouble. But we're not in North Carolina. And hopefully people will continue to vote Republicans back to the state legislature so we can keep up this good work. So let me tell you something. If the Democrats get back in Raleigh in power, I mean, we already have a complete a-hole for a governor, right? But you put Cooper and then you give him a Democratic legislature, then whew, yikes, scary stuff. Okay, also, Sebastian King talked about the school issue. Just this past week, the state legislature, which is majority Republican, passed a bill that would allow parents and students to have the option of sending their students back to school, or they could keep them in virtual learning. But it gave parents the choice, right? Well, guess what? Governor Cooper vetoed this bill. Now, the funny thing was, during the original vote before Cooper vetoed it, there was enough support from Democrats to pass this as a veto override. But when the vote for the veto override was taken, only one Democrat, I believe it was from the Fayetteville area, decided to stand his ground and actually vote for the veto. There were like 3 or 4 other Democrats that decided to be cowards and just obey Master Cooper instead of agreeing with the wishes of most citizens of North Carolina. Then we heard from Amy Gailey, her remarks. She's working as a co-sponsor of a bill with the lovely Joyce Kravick, who's a legislator out of our neighbors to the west in Forsyth County. She's co-sponsoring, again, the Born Alive Protection Bill. Now, this may sound familiar because it was brought up last year, and it passed the legislature, but Cooper vetoed it and couldn't get enough votes from Democrats to override the veto. But the kicker here is that 22% of the General Assembly is new this session. So we'll see. We'll do this vote again. Hopefully it'll pass. Maybe. I mean, you got a quarter of the legislature is new, so maybe we'll have enough votes this time. I hope and pray that we do, because that's just the Born Alive Protection Bill is just, basically what it is, it says that if a baby, survives an abortion, that they are protected as life. And yet, unfortunately, we have a governor and his little minion Democrats in Raleigh who think that a baby who survives an abortion should still be killed. It's crazy. And then Amy Gailey's also working on a revision of the Emergency Act to where the next time, and hopefully we'll never have anything like COVID ever happen again, but who knows. If we do have an emergency situation, if this Emergency Act would pass, it would allow the Council of State to call for an emergency and all the restrictions rather than the governor. And the Council of State is 6-4 majority Republican. Okay. City Council for Greensboro. Let's talk about this. We got 2 individuals right now running for the City Council races. First one is Katie Wasabi. She's running for an at-large spot, and she says, look, downtown is dirty, violence is out of control, and one of the most terrible things the city council has done here in Greensboro is that the homeless ordinances, these ordinances that had laws with the homeless people, well, they were all gutted, repealed. And now what you have is you actually not only have a large homeless population in downtown, but you also have homeless people somehow coming from other cities now and becoming, becoming in cahoots with other homeless people. And look, I'm not saying that I'm not turning a blind eye towards homelessness. I mean, I've been homeless, almost nearly homeless a couple times myself. I kind of know the feeling of it, to tell you the truth. I'm not saying turn a blind eye toward homelessness, but you do need to have ordinances, put ordinances in place. You can't just, if you're homeless, come to Greensboro. Yeah. You have to have a way to get these homeless people either to a mental institution, or if they are okay upstairs, get them into some sort of job training program, get them out of homelessness rather than just let them, walk around downtown and creep all the tourists out. And, if you're a company who's trying to move here and establish a business here and you see large amounts of homeless people downtown, you're not going to want to move here and start a business. You're just not. Another thing, too, is that Katie mentioned was Greensboro has about 8 or somewhere around there, about 10 colleges, universities right in the Greensboro area. And yet a lot of these kids are coming out of college with degrees in good fields, but yet they want to leave Greensboro. So there needs to be a way to keep the kids in Greensboro. Now, there is Action Greensboro and Synergy, a couple of young professional organizations here that are helping with that. And there's also a Boomerang program that is helping kids who move away after college and try to get them back to Greensboro. But one thing that unfortunately Katie said that really hit home with, I was surprised to hear this, but she says that other cities in North Carolina are calling Greensboro the Detroit of North Carolina. I'm like, oh no, I hate hearing that. Whew. Because Greensboro, it does have beautiful places. I mean, every city has got good parts and bad parts, but Detroit, and but it does have a lot of good, beautiful parks and gardens and things like that. But okay, so she says that her big priority is to support the police and offer them better pay, better incentives. She says the city of High Point has an incentive program for they're hiring police and they're giving them cars, right? They're also helping them secure housing, and they'll actually pay rent for the first 5 years to help them out. While she says Greensboro is losing officers. Also support businesses, help the area, especially downtown, be clean and safe and allowed to open. And she says she wants to use Greenville, South Carolina as a model for this. And if you've ever been to Greenville, I've never been to Greenville, South Carolina, but I've seen pictures of downtown and that waterfall and everything they have down there. That's beautiful, beautiful. And just having something like that downtown, I don't know if she wants to put a waterfall downtown Greensboro, but just beautify Greensboro, make it green and not dirty borough or dirty homeless crime borough. You know what I mean? But she said the most important takeaway for run for city council is that yes, she is a Republican, but this is about our city and not about our party affiliation. Next up, we hear from Tony Wilkins, who was a former member of City Council and is running again. He was on the City Council from 2012 until 2017. During that 5-year period, he was the only conservative on the City Council, so there were a lot of 8-1 votes, unfortunately, and he lost his seat on the council back in 2017 by only about 400 votes. He is a lifelong resident of Greensboro, and he's actually lived in the same zip code for all his life too. That's pretty neat. Not very few people can say that they lived in the same zip code their whole life. That's pretty cool. He currently is the vice chair of Greensboro Crime Stoppers. Is the vice president of Cornerstone Charter Academy, and he's running in the most conservative district in Greensboro, which is District 5, and that is that's that kind of that long, it's like almost like a dragon, because it kind of meanders around from southwest Greensboro, goes up the I-73 corridor up towards where I am, near the airports. But he says for being the most conservative district, Hillary Clinton won this district by 16 points. And Joe Biden won this by 22 points. Yeah, so a lot of work to do for Tony Wilkins. We certainly support him, as well as Katie Wasabi. And hopefully I'll start going to more meetings and be able to get to know them a little bit more and give them some more advertising on here. But he says there are 22 precincts in District 5. Mine is one of them. And he says he has this donation program where each person gives $20.21. Now he says that's not a lot of money, but if 100 people pitch in $20.21, that'll pay for all his yard signs for the election cycle. So there you go, right? Worthy cause. Okay. Now, Tony, this is another cool thing I like about Tony, is that he yielded the rest of his time. Each elected official that spoke today got about 3 minutes. Well, he had about a minute left. He says, okay, I want to use the rest of my time for questions. There was this lady who asked a question about, well, we currently don't have a Republican candidate for mayor. Right now we have Nancy Vaughn, whose middle name I think is Barricade or something very unique, right? But Vaughn has been, she's left. She's like, she's way over there left. And then we have another Democrat. His name is Justin Outling. Justin is more, he's a Democrat, but he's, more this, not as bad as that. And I like Justin Outling. He does this monthly thing called Java with Justin. Of course, during the pandemic, he's had to do this via Facebook Live, but before that, he had a meeting every one Friday morning a month at a coffee shop in downtown Greensboro, where basically people can ask questions about whatever issues about Greensboro city government, etc. for him. And I had a couple questions about the Bicentennial Greenway, because Bicentennial Greenway goes from Battleground Park, meanders down southwest around, and then it stops right at I believe it's West Guilford High School. Okay, and then there's a gap between that and an industrial park that's just right there near I-40 and I-73, and then it picks up again and it goes down by Deep River through Jamestown and goes all the way into downtown High Point. But there's still this gap of a couple miles. I asked him, I said, is there plans to fill in this gap? And he said yes, it's on the drawing board and it should be completed probably the next 2-3 years. So he answered my question. Well, actually said, I can't answer your question right now, but I will have for you by Monday. And he did. I salute him for that. And he seems just more of a reasonable Democrat. He's not this far left hack like Vaughn is. So, if the mayor's race were today with no Republican, I'd vote for Allen. But if there is a Republican that came forward for mayor, then I'd vote for them. And no, I'm not running for mayor right now. I don't have the political experience. I haven't lived here long enough yet. No, not at this time. Now, 2025, we'll see. But the thing about a Republican run for mayor is it's a tough battle, because when you look at voter registration for the city of Greensboro, 65%, nearly 2/3, is Democrat, and only 19% is Republican. Yeah, and then voter turnout. 11% voter turnout is what the average is in Greensboro. I think in Wilmington, North Carolina, it's 8%. It's pathetic. And, well, some of it is because the municipal elections, they're always in odd number years. Because most people think about, they'll vote once every 4 years. Then you have maybe your more informed voters that vote every 2 years. But only 10% of the population votes in these municipal elections. Yet, the policies and the things that these city council people vote on are the most consequential usually. Because a lot of times what the federal government does, or even your state legislature, it doesn't necessarily affect you. But boy, oh boy, if, the city council passed a mask mandate last summer, boom, affects you right there, right? Okay, now we go to the business part of the convention. And we have our buddy Lee Haywood here as convention chairman. The credentials report is given by Victoria King, the wife of Sebastian King. Credentials report. Very good credentials report this year. I was very happy about this. We had 117 delegates. Last year we only had 79, and I calculate the percentage on this, and we had 33% more delegates this year than last year. Very good, very good. I mean, consider how bad the local elections have been. Yeah, very encouraging. We also had 11 guests, and let's see, there was a motion to allow these guests to be seated at the convention as delegates. However, Chairman Gleason explained that the Court of State Legal Counsel, Phil Thompson, also the State Plan Organization, which always supersedes the County Plan Organization, it states that all delegates must attend a precinct meeting or sign a waiver form before they can be a delegate at the county convention. And signing the waiver form must be done actually before the precinct meeting. And what the waiver form is if you cannot make the precinct meeting, like if you have to work that day, or your children have sports or something, or you got some out of town going on, or who knows, you can even tell the chairman you and the spouse or need to go knock boots somewhere in Myrtle Beach or something, Yeah. Okay. So we had 117 delegates, and then it was noted that John Blust, the great former legislator John Blust, came in a few minutes late. So the official credentials report was 118 delegates, 11 guests, and the quorum for business was set at 30, or 25% of the delegates. Okay, and then we went to, let's see. So by the way, we approved the convention rules, the agenda, credentials report, accept the list of delegates to county convention. Victoria King read all 118 names for that, and those were accepted. The same list was accepted to the district and state conventions. We approved the minutes from last year's convention, and we accepted the county plan of organization. And the latest change on that was from the October 2020 meeting, which added the legal counsel as a party officer. And legal counsel just for dealing with the media, not yours truly, who's conservative friend, but dealing with the mainstream media, election securities, that sort of thing. That was why it was, and actually this was actually brought up at the state convention last year, that this legal counsel thing needed to be done at the state and county level. Then we have the anticlimactic part of this convention. I assumed, because of COVID, everything last year, I assumed that David Gleason was going to run for re-election, and I was right. And guess what? There was a slate of candidates presented. David Gleason, chairman. First vice chair is a new person named Greg Pittman. Second vice chair, Kathy Flanagan, who's been involved with a lot of the Republican Women's Club for several years. Third vice chair, Todd Rourke, who's been involved with the website and social media. Second vice chair, well, let me go back. Let me see. Do I know what these vice chair people do? Let's see. Okay, so your first vice chair is charged with fundraising, leading the fundraising events. Let's see. Okay, first vice chair is Greg Pittman, fundraising. Second vice chair is managing the calendar, social media, nation builder, database, email system. Third vice chair is basically in charge of precincts, precinct operations, and that sort of thing. Todd Rourke there. Treasurer Steve Glomowski, who's been doing it for several years. Assistant treasurer is our buddy Jay, who is who actually lives in my neighborhood. He's the vice chairman of Precinct FR4, and I am the precinct chairman of FR4. Secretary is Deanna D. Liberto. Deanna D. Liberto. I think I got that. Assistant Secretary is Michelle Bardsley, and the General Counsel is Eric Baker. Now, at that time, we had an opportunity for nominations from the floor. What this means is that if anybody wants to run against anybody on the slate, you can. But nobody decided to do that. And this slate was voted in via acclamation. So, everybody got elected with no contest. And it was just say the names, and nobody objected, nobody decided to run against, and boom, there you have it. Once again, your 2021 to 2023 Executive Board for the Guilford County Republican Party. David Gleason, Chairman. First Vice Chair, Fundraising, Greg Pittman. Second Vice Chair, Social Media, Calendar, Kathy Flanagan. Third Vice Chair, Precincts, Todd Rourke. Treasurer, Steve Glomowski. Assistant Treasurer, Mr. J. Secretary, Miss Liberto. Assistant Secretary, Michelle Bardsley. And the General Counsel, Eric Baker. Now, we have our surprise speaker, Michael Wattley, the chairman of the North Carolina Republican Party. And I gotta tell you, Michael Wattley, he's like everywhere. He's very accessible, very cool guy. And he's talked about our 2020 accomplishments. We won 15 out of the 19 statewide races, swept all 8 judicial races. 10,000 volunteers were trained and helped work the election cycle, making 1 million phone calls and 3 million door knocks. This is also the first time in the history of early voting that the Republicans actually won early voting. More Republicans than Democrats came to early voting. Turnout statewide was 82%, up from 74% in 2016, and there were even 15 counties that had 85% GOP turnout. Now in 2022, there's opportunity to win 4 additional seats on the Court of Appeals, and that would take the majority like 12-3 Republican if that happened. Right now it's 8-7. I think 8-7 Republicans, something like that. 2 Supreme Court seats. Right now, I believe it's 4-3 Democrat. Now that would go to 6 to 4 to 6 to. No, wait a minute. Is that all right? Gosh, I don't know. A majority on the Supreme Court. is what, yeah. Also, again, because Republicans won the state legislature and the Constitution of North Carolina says redistricting is to be done by the party that holds majority power in the legislature. The Republicans will control redistricting, and that could mean a gain of even 2 or 3 U.S. House seats. Right now, I think the Democrats only have like a 5-seat advantage in the U.S. House, so that would really help the Republicans to win back control of the U.S. House in 2022. Then, after Wattley spoke, it should be noted that he said, and I quote, "We are going to have a great 2022 election cycle." Wattley did not say verbatim that he was going to run for re-election, but based on that prior quote, I would assume that he is. And just because of COVID, everything that happened last year with COVID, derailing everything, and all the events and fun that we usually have in a presidential election year, I would assume he's going to run again. I would assume a lot of other chairwomen are going to run again. Do you think most of the elections this year are going to be anti-climatic? But let me just say this one thing. What happened today in Mecklenburg County was a bombshell. Because what happened was, number one, no guest, even if they're Republican, were allowed at the convention. That's a big no-no. Number two is the vice chair, Sara Reid Jones, decided to run for chair. And I have nothing personally against Sara. I have a sister named Sara too, by the way. And I have nothing personally against Sara Reid Jones, but the thing was that she had already served 2 terms as a vice chair, and the Republicans in Mecklenburg County, it's been a bloodbath down there. They've lost a lot, too many races at the local and state level. It's just been a complete bloodbath down there. Enthusiasm is down, party participation is down. It's just not a good scene. And just for her to get, there was another man by the last name of Stevenson who was run, who I wanted to win. He did not. But Jones has been at the controls of the party for the last 4 years, and things have not gone well. So I don't know why a majority of Mecklenburg Republicans want to re-elect somebody who has been at the controls of this disaster, but down in Mecklenburg. But there you go. I know Chairman Gleason has done a really good job here in Guilford. You may say, well, what about the school board of the county commissioners? But we do have a headquarters now. We do have a great presence on social media, and we got 33% more participants at this year's convention than last year's convention. So, okay, I'm getting ready to wrap this up. We do have a new Guilford County Men's Club. I believe they're meeting on Saturday mornings, like once a month or something. Do not know when the next meeting is, but hopefully soon. I'll try to go to that, depending on how the work schedule goes. District Convention is going to be held on April 22nd, Thursday night at 6:30 at the Revolution Academy on NC Route 150, right there between 73 and US 220. Lincoln Reagan Day dinner has been rescheduled. That is going to be on May 16th at the Sedgefield Country Club. It's going to be on the lawn at Sedgefield Country Club. So ladies, no spiked heels, please, unless you want to help poke holes in the turf, and that's probably a big no-no at a golf course, right? Young Republicans are going to meet March 17th at 6:30 at the Guilford County headquarters on West Friendly Avenue. Then on March 20th, they're going to do a garden planting at a church in East Greensboro. And also, the teenage Republicans are restarting things as well. They had a meetup at Elizabeth's Pizza. I don't know which location, but this was the previous night, and about seven teenagers attended. And a couple of these teenagers are actually going to help get teenage Republican chapters started at their school. Of course, a lot of times the problem with the public schools is trying to find a teacher who wants to sponsor a teenage Republican group, because without a sponsor, you really can't. There's being adults present. Yeah, these kids, even though they're probably good, conservative, Christian raised kids, teenagers, you just, want to help have an adult there for chaperone and supervision and leadership, mentorship. Okay, now we'll talk about the precincts. By the way, 2 women's clubs in Guilford County for Republicans. Northwest Republican Women and Greater Greensboro also as well. Okay, so precinct news. At the precinct meetings 2 weeks ago, we had 109 people sign up to attend and 150 showed up, so that was very reassuring. But the breakdown, the current voter registration numbers in Guilford County are as follows. There are 364,112 voters. I estimated beforehand there were about 350,000. I was pretty doggone close, right? And among the Democrats, you have 158,284. The Republicans, 90,302. Unaffiliated, 112,450. But I believe her name is Diane Dougherty. She mentioned there's a huge opportunity to reach out to unaffiliateds. Also, huge opportunity to help get block captains, because if you're one precinct chair, and I've experienced this, is if you're trying to knock doors in your whole precinct as one person, it will take forever. Many hands make light work. That's a phrase from the military, but it's true. Many hands make light work. If you can get 1 or 2 or even 3 or 4 or 5 block captains, more the merrier, one for each street even, that would be great, and that would really help get people to build the brand. Because the most effective way to communicate the policies and positions of the Republican Party is to go door to door and talk to neighbors. Certainly they're not going to get it from most of the media, unfortunately. But this one more thing I'm going to say, and that's the thing I like that I'm seeing from this precinct organization is that we're going to start having monthly classes to help get precinct chairs trained and engaged. There's going to be one March 19th, Friday night, 6:30 to 8:30, and then one Saturday morning, March 20th, 10 to 12. You got to sign up on the county party website. You actually got to send an email via the county party website for that. And that's it. Thank you. If you've watched or if you have watched or listened to this video for the last 58 minutes and counting, thank you very much. That was a lot of information. That went longer than I thought it would, but it was a longer convention this year than last year. So, anyway, for the Conservative Pelican, my name is Bobby Crawford. If you have any questions or comments, feel free to ask them. That's why we have that comment space on YouTube. It's for you to engage with me, okay? Watching videos is fun, but engaging among your fellow web people is great too. Bye-bye.